Yeah, Jason asked me about it, and I told him it was up to him, but
Right.
he didn't really confirm one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah, so just so you know, we have the e-blast basically ready to go with all of the information that's in the memo basically to you guys.
Okay.
So if we make any changes, then Chloe will have to update that. And then we also have, what else, Chloe?
Oh, I have a whole
There's
list.
something
We
else you
have
were-
social media posts queued up that will link to the website. There will be an article on the website. I'm updating on each of like the age landing pages, what a message that links back to the article about the closure that has all the information. We'll have a slider on the homepage that'll be updated. I have to update the calendar to show the approved closure, and then we're doing an e-blast to staff with the recommendations, Nikki, as your like weekly Winslow. And then
Yep, that's right.
and then we're doing the e-blast to like the community and all our community partners, and then I have a press release lined up to send out to the local media outlets. So, and we have printed signs that we'll get up in our windows and stuff too. So that's all queued up. So hopefully not too many changes to the list, but
I think it's a pretty good list. We'll see what everybody says.
yeah.
But, how many folks have been in the library today? Have we had a lot of patrons in? Okay. That's, good.
Yeah, in the last few hours because of rain.
People are stocking up.
Oh,
on
are
books.
they
Last
really?
weekend, school districts sent out some schools saying go to the library, get a library card so your kids can have access to online.
Right.
So Melissa just came and she said like at least 28 kids were up there.
Oh, okay. We
Just
should
in
make
the
sure
hours.
people know that they can get a library card without coming in.
We sent that out to all
Yeah.
the local librarians too. So with the
Great.
instructions on how to
Good,
do it.
good,
So I
good.
think the goal was for them to do it, send it out today too. And we confirmed
Okay.
with Christopher that that's all.
Called in and I said, you can do it online.
Great.
Don't worry about it.
Great.
Yeah.
And
no,
Katie, we're including in our message to the public that we're encouraging them not to bring their materials back. And
Yeah,
we
absolutely
extended all the
right.
due date to
Good.
the end of the month.
Yeah, because we have no means of actually sterilizing or sanitizing them and handling it. And good. And then book returns will just fill up, and that's not great. Okay.
Christopher, did you check the stream from your computer? I went live just so that we could troubleshoot if there was any last minute. Thank you. If you even want to text me, I have my phone.
All right, sorry guys, my dad just called me.
Take your time. We'll wait because
Yeah, we've still got a few minutes.
so when the board calls in, will it come to this?
And we
Okay.
tested the audio, so as long as it's within the green, it'll be.
Okay.
And we did a full test of it earlier too
Okay.
on an unlisted live stream, so it was
Fantastic.
good to go.
Okay. Are we gonna be sending people a view of the ceiling?
I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on if you and Betsy want to be on camera, or we can just do the audio. Either way, it's up to you guys.
I don't care. I just feel like we should give people something to look at. That's
Yeah.
not.
No, then when Betsy
It's
gets
not
here,
a
we'll just
ceiling.
have it be on the two of you.
Okay. Just Betsy the whole time. Just a tight shot on Betsy.
No, it's okay. I'll just monitor it.
Super tight.
I'm just.
Yeah, this is it. Yep, this is us. Hello.
Here, I'll monitor from the side.
Do we have public comment forms if we need them?
I did not because I.
We'll just
figured
let
with
people
the
talk.
touch- Yeah.
Yeah,
They
okay.
can just
Did anybody email anything in?
no,
Okay.
and I'm just keeping an eye on that for the next 5
Okay.
minutes.
If people leave a YouTube comment,
We'll
we
see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll come up right here.
Okay, sweet.
I'm gonna toggle between the screens probably just to make sure that the audio's still good, but we'll be able to see it right here as it comes up.
Okay. I'm gonna endeavor not to look at the screen because that's really distracting.
It's a little
and
distracting,
weird,
isn't
yeah.
it? It's like,
Well, and it's also a couple seconds
Oh.
delayed, so it's like looking into the
my
chat.
vision is more like good to this.
Here, I can just like hide that piece.
There
There,
we
you go.
There we go. That's great.
Yeah, we found out at 2:00 today that our school's closed for the next 3 weeks. Wow. We knew it was gonna be 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
so it's the original- our original spring break was that March, April 1st.
Oh, was it? Okay.
And originally they were moving it up and making it 2 weeks, and now they're just making it from now till.
Got it.
So, yeah. So I had to bring the guinea pigs home.
Oh.
And the fish.
Oh my goodness. Hey Jason,
Hello, everyone.
how you doing? Why don't I have you right here on the other side
Here's
of the table?
the-
Is that okay? Yeah. We're not
Hi,
6 feet.
Jason.
We're not 6 feet apart, but it's okay.
It's 6.
Sorry. It's fine.
Don't tell the people at Whole Foods though.
Oh yeah, people at Whole Foods will whip your face off if you're in their way.
I feel like I finally know what my family goes through in Florida every time there's a hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah, I ended up
much
in
worse.
It wasn't that
This
bad.
is much because hurricane
It's
people
very
are trained
serious.
to be reasonable and like,
Yeah.
they know how to do it. 'Cause I grew up with hurricanes, and
Yeah,
it's like
I lived
No.
in Houston right after I,
Shelves are
and
You know
it
what?
was
I
never
remember
like
no, no, this is bonkers. This is extra bonkers.
Kansas. In 3 weeks, we'll still be eating what's in our cupboard, so.
even in Italy, like the grocery stores are still open.
I do remember in Connecticut before a hurricane, the coffee bean section was like an inch thick thing of coffee beans on the floor. 'Cause people don't have
Well, I mean, the coffee, I understand.
coffee.
That part.
That's the thing about earthquakes. You don't see them coming, so whatever you got, you got.
I know when I asked earthquakes happened, I told Sean, I was like, should I make the bathtubs? And he's like, why? I was like, I don't know, we do that in hurricanes in case the water's in there. Should I do that? And he's like, no, it'd just be bad. It doesn't really accomplish anything. Alright, we'll give it a couple more minutes.
Still working on it.
Yeah, because the comments like aren't connecting, and I'm trying to get Christopher to test it downstairs.
Why not?
You
Okay,
know?
we're probably not gonna have comments.
Man.
Please, yeah. Yeah, it's lavender. Mhm.
It's a yeah.
just sign in anyway. It's not, yeah. I don't
I'm
think people
good.
were also, they weren't relying on it, you know.
I just came from negotiations with a bunch of healthcare workers. There's more than enough
Yeah. Sanitizer.
stuff to go around, yeah.
Totally.
No, some of the clinics, they're having to like lock
Oh, I
it
can
away
monitor chats on my phone.
because patients are so like they can't get it. And
Wonder
they're
Woman
like, stealing it from.
Hi, Gwen.
Is now in the conference.
Terry Andrews.
Is now in the conference.
All right, so Gwen and Terry, we have you guys on the line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Jason and Betsy and I and a whole bunch of other people are all here in person. So I'm going to go ahead and call us to order so we can have a couple minutes for fiddling around with technical odds and ends if we need to. So it is 4:59. I'm calling us to order. I'm going to do a quick roll call. So Trustee Andrews,
Here.
Trustee Capel,
Here.
Trustee Clark, I'm here, Trustee Khan,
Here.
and Trustee McMullins.
Here.
Perfect. And I believe we also have Nikki on the line, right?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So thank you guys all so much for coming together for our emergency special meeting. I really appreciate everybody making it work either in person or on the phone. So obviously all of us are paying very close attention to what's going on with the coronavirus, and we are going to talk today about what measures we think are the smartest ones to take to keep everybody, our staff, our neighbors, our patrons, as safe as we can. So, Nikki, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you talk through some of the details of the memo. But before I do that, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome public comment from anybody present, anybody online, if anybody emailed anything in. And because we're doing this as a live stream in kind of an unusual way, we'll have another opportunity for public comment later, just in case something turns up. We want to make sure we hear from everybody who wants to be heard. So is there anything that anybody would like to say at this point? Okay, perfect. Then Nikki, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So again, like amazing to me how much has developed in the probably like last 4 days. You know, last week I was in communication with Katie and Terry to some extent about as this situation was escalating. And we were including it in the board package that was supposed to take place on March 23rd. But again, in the developments in the last 2 to 3 days, I've been on the phone with Katie quite a bit talking about the best way to respond. And especially through a couple articles that I've read of recent, as well as a lot of other libraries in Southern California and across the country closing, the real emphasis on social distancing, you know, prompted me to talk to both like the management team as well as, like I said, Katie, about how we're going to move forward. And what my recommendation was to close at least through the end of March. That'll give us a couple weeks to see how things develop. Not many of the libraries that I've been checking listservs and talking to other directors have necessarily suspended staff coming in. Some have, some haven't. But after, again, a lot of the research that I've done and things that I've read, I don't personally feel like it makes a lot of sense to like not allow the public in, but yet bring the staff all together every day, when really the emphasis on social distancing means people should stay home and see how it goes. I also have, you know, I feel like at this point we may have staff that have this virus. We don't know. And I think by encouraging all of the staff to stay home for the next week, which is what my recommendation is through March 20th, we'll have a better sense of if anybody actually is infected and how we want to proceed with, you know, incrementally bringing staff back or not. Luckily, we've had yesterday and today to prepare for that. So the management team feels pretty comfortable that we'll be able to not have staff in the building for the next week and have things taken care of. As you can see from the memo I sent out, the other recommendations that we have are to, while the 2 buildings are closed, have Jonathan pursue hiring an outside cleaning company to come in and really deep clean and sanitize those buildings. We're also, you know, once this is voted on, we'll notify all vendors to cease any types of deliveries. And another thing that we're doing that I did not include in the memo is encourage patrons to not return items. I've already talked to Christopher about extending due dates through the end of March, so there'd be no reason why people, you know, need to come to the building for that reason. One of the things Katie and I talked about also was, you know, one of the things that a lot of people rely on us for is internet or Wi-Fi. So we've talked about keeping Wi-Fi up 24/7 so that if people want to drive into the parking lot and use the internet, they're able to do that as well on their own devices, obviously not with ours. Also, you know, looking over what our agenda looks like for the March 23rd meeting, when Katie and I talked about it, we feel like we could probably cancel this month's meeting. The big thing was the audit that was going to be presented, and Nicole is confident that the auditors probably won't come anyway. So we think that we can push all of this month's business, and that would include, I know some people were anticipating the ARG presentation, but the facilities committee wasn't ready to present on that anyway. We still have a lot of things we need to work out in terms of cost estimating. So it is my recommendation that we cancel the March 23rd meeting as well. And then lastly, I'm going to continue to work really closely with Chloe about, you know, either every day or every other day, collecting whatever the latest information is through, you know, the local and regional public health offices, as well as the CDC, and then also partnering with like town council and some of our other groups in the community to disseminate information that's accurate and timely as much as we possibly can. So, you know, although some of, you know, the staff technically won't be working, some of us know that there are things that we need to take care of in the next week, which I'm more than happy to do, obviously. So that overall is what I'm suggesting. I'm happy to answer any questions. I do have most of the managers on hand at the meeting as well to answer questions that you may have too.
Hi, guys. All right, so before we jump into voting or anything else like that, I just want to give everybody on the board, and it's a little bit awkward, I know, because we're on the telephone, but I want to give everybody a chance to just review the collection of recommendations that that we've got in front of us, and then open it up to any questions anybody has. And we'll just go one at a time so we can know who's talking, especially for our colleagues on the phone. So whoever would like to start, just let me know. Jason, go ahead, please.
So Nikki, the only thing I don't see in here that I would like to kind of just hear about is the returns that we are getting. So I know I've seen the virus, I'm seeing up to 3 days, depending on the surface that it's on, right? So, and especially since there's frankly probably a large number of people that have it and aren't symptomatic. So what kind of precautions are we taking with this, the staff, and just to make sure that we're handling returns, understanding that?
So 2 days ago, we didn't require staff, but we highly recommended that everybody wear gloves. Not that gloves prevent you from being able to get the virus, but almost to like remind them not to touch their face, which I think it's just a better reminder to you if you have gloves on your hands. In addition to that, everything that was being returned starting, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, it's been such a blur, all of those materials are getting wiped down. So that's where it's like we really want to encourage people not to start bringing things back right now, because again, the book drops would have to get consistently emptied. I'm going to work with Jonathan to figure out like basically a schedule over the next week of how often we need to empty it, but all of those materials would be put aside and have to be completely wiped down before they go back out.
So, Chloe, have we thought about kind of a social media campaign on the no return
Well,
issue?
it's going to be included. So I was sharing with Katie before the meeting. We have a whole list of different press releases and notices and articles going out on the website, on social media following this meeting, pending your decision on some of these items. And in the big press release that's going to go out to all patrons and all different community partners and leaders of different community groups, it will have, and all of our town council members, it has a whole reminder at the bottom that talks about no need to return. We've extended all due dates through the 31st. I think as of this evening, and then so that they don't need to return things. So,
Okay. Very cool.
And we reminded them that our district has no late fees too, so that if it's a couple days late past that, no harm, no foul.
All good.
Yeah. I will also be sharing the same information with all directors of Southern California Library list too. I just wanted to wait for the final decision. I had already emailed them earlier today that we were proposing closing, but then I'll share that with all of them as well.
This is Terry, and just one thought is that we've got an ending date on our closure, and I'm just wondering if it might be a good idea to have it, from such and such a date to indefinitely, and not really nail down exactly when we would open up. It just seems like there's so much uncertainty out there that if people were looking at a date where we open up, it might converge, and we might not be ready for that. So that would be my thought.
It's a really good point, Terry. So one of the things that is included in this list of recommendations is basically conferring what you might call emergency powers onto Nikki in consultation with me. So if you look at item 2, one of the things we're going to vote on is giving the district director the authority to make decisions about when we reopen, when to bring staff back, and any further closure, so that wouldn't require board approval if it turns out we need to stay closed another week, another month. Who knows, right? Like, it's a very uncertain situation.
Right.
So that would give Nikki the ability to do that. And obviously, if there's something that seems extraordinary, we would convene another emergency meeting or call a special meeting if we have enough advance notice. But that's sort of the intent behind it.
Okay. Yeah, it just feels to me like a brief closure, and like I say, it's not so much we would give Nikki the powers to open the library when she feels it's needed. I'm perfectly fine with that. It's the idea that we publish a date that's going to be open on the 31st, and we might wind up extending that. So it's really more of a notification to the public. But it's a small item, I'm just, saying what kind of pops into my head on this thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I do think that's something we could make a decision on now. Many of the libraries that have closed, it's indefinite. You know,
Right.
so I think that's up to the board if we want to set a finite date or if we want to say we're gonna close until,
Further
we
notice.
feel that we're ready
Yeah.
to open up again. Because originally, the date that we had determined to cancel programming was through PUSD spring break, which is April 5th. They were supposed to go back on April 6th. So, I'm completely open to whatever the board thinks makes sense.
Yeah, it's a small item for me, but I just wanted to make sure that we had the flexibility and the communication ability to let people know if the date changes, if we decide to keep it closed longer than that. So
Mhm.
just a little thing, but
No,
I wanted
it's
to
a-
remark on it.
It's a good note, thank you. Other,
Another
yeah.
thing for me while it's on my mind, and that is that there was a sheriff car parked in the lot the night of and during the book sale, which I thought was a good move. I'm not quite sure how that was arranged, if you all did it there at the library, but I'm just wondering if you could reach out to the sheriff's department and ask them to park a car there every now and then during our downtime, especially given that the lot would be used, it sounds like, to some extent for people getting internet. And then, the fact that we're closed and wouldn't want anything untoward to happen to the building itself. So just an idea, but I do know that I think they are willing to do that and work with us on that.
Let me just.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So I'll plan on reaching out to them to talk to them about maybe trying to develop a semi-regular schedule to bring people into the lot. It's a really good idea.
It is.
Okay.
This is Gwen, and I agree that having the sheriff's cars parked there occasionally would be wonderful. Let me just ask this question though, because I saw something about can't they access the Wi-Fi from the street? Can patrons access it from the street?
No.
I know that you said something about them being able to check out what are those little hot spots and things that computer kind of things that they could use at home where they would not have to come into the library or whatever.
Hi, Gwen. This is Chloe. We did put in our e-blast that went out yesterday a reminder that we do have hotspots. I will say when we sent that out, we still only had, I think, 5 hotspots available for checkout. And I imagine, because I think a lot of them went pretty fast this week, Christopher's here, our IT manager as well, to speak to the distance that our Wi-Fi actually stretches.
Hello, Gwen. It's Christopher. The range of the Wi-Fi sort of ends at the edge of the property. They would have to have a special device to be able to connect any further than that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect then. Okay.
And that includes the branch, I'm assuming, right?
Yes. That includes the branch, right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Betsy, I know you had some questions.
Yeah,
Please.
I'm just wondering, maybe Chloe, you could remind us how our communications go out in languages other than English.
Right now, because of the short time span, I only have them available in English. If anything posted on our website can be translated to Spanish, and I can increase the number of languages that it's available through like our translator app. So I can do that. I think right now we have it in Spanish and Chinese. I can increase those languages, but just because of the fast turnaround right now, it's only been in English. But like Nikki said, like I'm gonna be working basically every day for the next week.
Yeah.
So like part of the plan is to get translation services done, and I know our translator that we hire that does a really quick turnaround on the work. I think she's probably still active, so we can get those translated.
So
Yeah.
I figure it was on the list somewhere, obviously not at the very top.
Yeah, and most of our posts will be linking again back to the website, and so the goal with the website being translatable, that hopefully people will direct back to that.
And then I think I saw, but I just want to confirm that, and thank you for, I think, reminding patrons and just connecting them to the virtual resources that we have.
Yeah.
So that people know that they can watch movies and
Thank you.
have ebooks and all that.
Well, they will. We actually don't have access to a movie service right now, but we do have access to ebooks, digital ebooks, digital audiobooks, and digital magazines and children's picture books through Tumble Books. Those links will also be included in the e-blast that will go out immediately following this
By any
meeting.
chance, I've never noticed, but by any chance, are there like instructional videos for, or screen, like
So that
screencast
was
kind of videos?
that was discussed by other staff as well. That during the closure, once staff comes back, that we could do some more instructional videos to just amplify that. That's been an ongoing project for a while, but that
Maybe
with
I'll
this
have some
time
time.
having some closure, that we'll be able to catch up on some of that. So
Okay.
I can highlight that for sure. And I know for a while we had them saved as highlight stories on our Instagram as well. So for our more mobile users who are social media preference, we can make sure that those are up there again too.
Other questions?
I think, now we're going to consider newspapers also in this, in letting people know of the closure, right?
Correct. I have a list
Okay.
of all of our press contacts that we have a
Okay.
special email that'll be going to each of them separately so that it hopefully will go to the top of their inbox and that they will include it in all the local publications.
Okay, perfect. PUSD is out until April 5th,
Mm-hmm.
and we're thinking about 2 weeks, is that it?
We're starting with 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I think, obviously we're going to have to kind of continuously assess and see where things are. I think everybody's kind of giving it their best guess right now, and we're all crossing our collective fingers and hoping that, we have some more clarity in a week or two. So, I honestly, you guys tell me what you think, but I would be comfortable with changing the language in item 1 to say we're going to close effective March 14th until further notice, as Terry recommended. What do you think?
I've been sort of looking at the list of libraries and the way their closure statements are worded,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of, feeling how it feels emotionally.
Yeah.
As putting my patron hat on. And honestly, I think to say it's closed indefinitely sounds scary.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it might be as simple as saying, closed to the public effective March 14th, 2020 through at least March 31st, 2020. And that way, I think
Right.
probably part of Terry's concern was that we don't want to set up an expectation that then we dash by having a firm date and then constantly moving it back. But that way we just leave that little bit of an opening so that people get from the get-go that it's, that it obviously, I think we all get that it's
Right.
a changing scene, but I like the idea of an actual date that makes me feel more secure.
Yeah.
But to say at least also lets me know that I got to stay tuned.
Sure. Well, and I think it's a good point, Betsy. And I also wonder if, we just remind people that we're closing the building, right? Like the library as a concept is still available, right? There's a ton of online resources. There are a ton of things people can access. I'm sure that as we move forward, knowing this staff, there will be a bunch of super creative ideas about ways in which we can engage people without them being physically in the building. So I think if we say, like, we're closing
Library district buildings.
the library district buildings will be closed,
Right.
right? Rather than,
Yeah, when you think about it, it's a great time to promote our new ebook service, our expansion.
there you
know.
go.
Yeah,
Silver
There's no shortage
lining.
of books available, and now you can have them online.
That's right.
right.
See, the thing about this, that the public health authorities are trying to do is actually to extend this whole season of the coronavirus by not allowing a spike to occur and have a lot of people crowding hospitals.
Right.
So when you look at the charts and so on, as I'm sure you all have, you'll see that all these efforts are meant to actually prolong the duration of the coronavirus in society, but it will lessen its impact.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Are people able to get cards virtually?
Yes, so in the e-blast that was sent out yesterday at the bottom, we reminded people, Christopher set up a while back the option to register online. So it's a temporary number that they would get that gives them immediate access to our digital services. And then once we reopen, they can come and get their physical card traded out on their account. But yeah, and we've included that also in the e-blast that will go out after this as well. And these reminders will go out over the next like couple weeks too, like on social media. As Katie mentioned, like we're going to be doing, or as Katie or Nikki mentioned, we'll be doing regular updates throughout the closure so that people are aware of ways they can get
That's
involved.
also reminding me that I let both Nikki and Katie know today that I happened to hear at school in South Pass today that the South Pass Public Library was closing. But they had hours for phone reference and online reference, and I'm just maybe once Nikki makes the decision about staff's coming back to work, that might be a service that could be considered.
Yeah, I made a note about that for sure.
And I think it's also important to just say that, obviously we don't know what the situation is going to look like, but that certainly, a major priority is making sure everybody gets paid, everybody is still, like, we're budgeted to pay everybody normally through the year, we're going to pay everybody, like, nothing changes on that front.
That also reminds me, because I was, and this kind of qualifies as rumor, I guess, but I was just sort of hearing it talked about at school today, that it sounded like at least part of what went into the decision about the closure of my district had to do with, or might have had to do with, decisions on the part of the governor, perhaps even decisions on the part of the federal government that might end up making funding available for, I don't know who. I mean, I don't know if it's more for private enterprises or if it will be true for government entities like us. Whether, and we don't need to worry about this now. I'm just putting it there on the record that there may be some way for us to find out that there's funding to reimburse us for some of what we end up paying.
I can tell you the County of Los Angeles is tracking in great detail even staff time, like staff that have been reassigned to work exclusively on the COVID-19 response, any kind of resources that are solely for, like, they're anticipating federal money coming in. So it'd be good for us to be thinking about that, right? I mean, at the very least, the cost for staff to be off for a week, right? Like, that's pretty easy to figure that out. I think the rest of it's probably a little more complicated to track it, but the more detail and the more prepared we are, if that does come through, right? That would be critical.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep that on Nicole and I's radar for sure.
Okay. Let me go back to, you talked about having an outside agency to come in and sanitize the library. Do you think within this 2-week period they'll be able to do that, or you'll be able to find a source to be able to do that?
Jonathan, do you want to speak to that?
So, hi Gwen, this is Jonathan. So I looked online, and I have a person called from Service Pro, and they gave us a quote list of what they charge per square foot and what type of services we want. There's different levels. They range from 65 cents a square foot, which is just a basic wipe down and just basic cleaning, micro fibers, that's it, to a very intense CDC certified cleaning because we don't know there's anything that's been contaminated. We don't know that. But the numbers I was getting per square foot, because of the size that we have, range anywhere between $60,000 to $110,000 for both buildings.
Wow.
So maybe there's a way to prioritize like the areas of most high traffic for that.
Right.
Whew.
Right, and so
Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely talk about that, Jonathan.
yes, and that's the numbers that I'm getting so far.
I'm sure there's no COVID-19 surge pricing involved in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
We'd like that to happen, but that's not true.
Jonathan, you had another comment, please. Go
Yes,
ahead.
I have one more question, and this is just my opinion, just my personal opinion, but on keeping the parking lot gate open and things
Yeah.
like that. The reason why we so during the book sale, we had the sheriff's car come in here. The gate was still closed, and the sheriff's car was inside. But because no one, when they saw the sheriff's car there, they weren't able to drive in to see if anyone was in the sheriff's car, because no one was there. If we do leave the gate open, I am just afraid that even if we have a vehicle there and they go up there, they say, well, no one's here anyway. They'll just come onto the lot, and I know what we're trying to be, we are a service bureau, and I understand that. We're trying to be benefit to the public. But I'm also thinking of after hours, if the gates are still open, they'll come over to the trash can, try to put stuff there. They'll put stuff in the back. They'll do all kinds of crazy things and out of the view of, other public things. That is just my personal opinion.
No, I understand. I mean, is there, without having somebody do it every single day, I mean, I'm just wondering if there's a way that we can have basically access to the parking lot. I'm thinking about people who are working from home, maybe college students whose classes are finishing online, people who need internet access. So how can we accommodate that in a way that addresses those concerns?
Well, what's good, well, I know this may sound interesting, but yes, we still keep the gate closed, but people are able, they park on the side and they can go they go to the back of the park or anything like that. But I know there's only certain areas where they can get internet access, right? And so I'm just afraid that if they go around to the building, yes, we do have cameras and things like that, but I'm very concerned still for the safety of our building. Okay.
Yeah.
Of my
Well,
building.
Jonathan, would it be possible to like put some type of fence up that prevents them from going any further back than like, where the parking spots are in front of the staff offices? Like if they're not able to drive back there, you know what I'm saying?
So what we can do is we can lock the back gate that goes on the west side of the building. We did install security lighting back there now. So now it's bright, so no one can, there's nothing's hidden. And we put security lighting in that area where it was where the new ladder's at, put lighting there now. Also, what I could do is from where the stone wall is at, I could put some temporary fencing there, hopefully that goes across from there to the park area, and we can do that if we need to. But still, I mean, I could also block off the staff entrances. I could block off all that area if need be.
Is it possible that you could also limit that from, say, 10 to 5 or something like that? As far as timing, people are using just as they generally do, from 10 to 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and that might, especially, not to have it open all day, all night or anything like that, but just limit the time frame there. That might be helpful. I'm not really sure. What do you think?
Well, also, Christopher, my cohort here, we were talking about the things about picking up books and things like that here. We can come in, if we need to open the gate, we can open the gate for a temporary time, and then at the end of the day, since I'm just 3 minutes away, just lock it.
Yeah, this is Terry. I might have the wrong idea, but will there be people coming in and out of the library to do project work or anything like that? In other words, will the lights be on to a certain extent there in the building during this closure, or is everybody expected to stay home completely and not visit, our employees visit the library?
I think our plan was to, as much as possible, have staff stay home.
Okay.
Unless it's absolutely necessary. Like I do know I'm gonna have to coordinate with Jonathan on, like we said, the book drop and maybe some other things, because we don't want that overflowing, or, and if we're gonna have a cleaning service come in, we'll have to be present. But like Nicole's planning to exclusively work from her house. I know Chloe can do her work remotely. I will be as well. So I think as much as possible, we were hoping not to have staff coming in.
Okay. And all of the work at home assignments that you can delve out, you can hand out, it sounds like they've been given, right? And certain folks will be doing some work from home.
Right.
Good thing we did that telework
Mainly
policy.
managers, to be honest, because we don't want it to be like a fairness or consistency issue, you know?
Yeah, no, I got it. I just, one of the key decisions I think that need to be made is whether, everybody thinks the library is a dangerous place right now until we get it sanitized. I don't think I fall in that camp. And, would it make sense for there to be some project work in the library that could be accomplished by, people that are willing to go there? Just a thought. And that kills two birds with one stone, because if there's some activity there where the lights are on, like I said, and there's a project or two happening here and there, that would sort of lessen the security problems that we would have.
I've got some project work.
I'm only
So just,
concerned.
that's just a thought. I'm not asking for that, just a kind of a thought on how you might handle it.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'll talk to Jonathan about the suggestion to maybe like maintain parking lot hours the same as what they currently are. Maybe like, between myself and some other managers, we could just go open the gate and then close it each day, and if there's any other work that needs to be done while you're there, you could.
Right. I was thinking that too, simply because I believe the last time those gates were open during the evening time, you had people who were homeless that were bringing their cars in, and and so that would solve that problem, is to close it at the regular hours that you usually use. Okay.
Okay.
So that
So
means
we'll
changing
adjust
the wording.
all of our press releases and info going out to state that the parking lot, and we had parking lot signage made that shows what our hours are, so people didn't get trapped in there. So we'll just say we're gonna maintain that same schedule for the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
I have a question about the book drops. A, are they lockable? And B, if they are, is that good? Or would that just frustrate people who are trying to return stuff, even though you're trying to tell people not to? It would save the trouble of staff having to empty them.
Right.
Jonathan, do you know if we can lock those?
I could make it work.
Stuff a cork in it.
Yeah, right.
I'll do something to make sure.
Padlocks, drill holes and padlocks.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
I've been dreaming of it.
Yeah.
Just as adult services manager, that would be like what I would want. I don't want my staff touching those books if they don't have to.
At the
Like,
very
I'd rather
least, we
just
can
have
laminate it, sign.
Yeah, I mean, we have a
you
table
lost.
over it. Yeah.
These books, they're gonna eventually be checked in, like, it's not an issue with that. It's collections that are not, it's people, not collections.
Yeah.
So that goes both ways for my staff and for the public. These things are replaceable, like, I think you should lock it.
Yeah, Terry, that's one of the projects we'll be doing.
So I'm thinking maybe, Chloe, we could adjust the language to state that, not only should they not return them, but the book drops will not be available for returns.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
And then we'll
adjust.
just make signage for the book drop saying, please return in April to return items or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah. That would work.
Okay.
But we could extend the automatic renewal all the way out to, if you want, April 20th or something, it doesn't have to be March 31st or whatever.
Right.
Like it's an arbitrary date.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Other questions?
Well, just getting back to the cleaning thing, because I can see that's a bit of a dilemma with the expense and all. Nikki, have you talked to other libraries about what they plan to do during the closure? Are they planning cleaning activities as well?
It seems to me like the majority are saying they're just working on projects that staff don't have time to do when they're open. A couple of library directors said that they're gonna focus on making the building more socially distant, laid out, so that if and when they open, people are naturally not sitting as close to each other.
Okay.
So that's rearranging furniture and equipment so that, if and when they open again, it just like promotes that type of behavior, at least for now. But it just seemed like most of them were saying, just projects.
Okay,
Not really an emphasis on cleaning.
okay. How are we sort of sanitizing things? For example, the people who are using the computers that are in the library, are we wiping those down occasionally, every few hours or every hour or something?
It has been every
Jonathan,
hour.
do you want to speak to that?
It has been every hour. Today I just started was wiping the door handles and things like that, but we have been doing it every hour.
Okay, perfect.
The problem to some extent is we're running out of supplies too.
Right.
And it's really hard to get our hands on supplies right now.
That's going to continue to be, I think, an issue. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, there was an interesting thing that my husband did the other day, and I believe it was down at Smart and Final. He actually asked for wipes and or hand sanitizer, and then they told him, "Wait, we can give you one, but we can't give you both." So it might be that some of those things are coming back now. I'm not really sure, but or maybe he was just lucky that day. They had a supply coming in, and that was it. I don't know.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
One of our suppliers that we get most of our cleaning supplies from, they will be having the sanitizer and most of their major toilet paper and everything else will be coming back on Monday, the 16th. But I'll be there bright and early in the morning just to get ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically the game plan going forward would be that we'll take a vote on this tonight, and we'll go through and enumerate all the items and make sure we've got those spelled out in exactly the way everybody wants. And then Nikki and I will continue to be in close contact going forward. There is some relaxation of the Brown Act, but not that much. So unfortunately, all of our regular Brown Act stuff still applies. So always, of course, feel free to call me or call Nikki. But all of our regular group messaging stuff is still in effect, as it always is. But I want to make sure that we have every opportunity for any other questions or concerns. If any comments have come in, I want to make sure we get a handle on those.
We've had no comments via YouTube.
Okay.
I haven't gotten any emails. I did want to know, Avison put out today that they will be closed through April 13th.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Are the committee activities that we have scheduled, being postponed as well? There's a meeting for the budget committee next week. Is that something that will be postponed?
I actually meant to touch base with Nicole about that. I assumed we would be canceling. Have you talked to the guy from Glendale, Nicole?
She had to leave.
Oh, she did. Okay. I'm assuming that will get postponed, Terry, because he was coming to the library to meet us. I'll confirm that.
Okay, just send me an email. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. We'll reschedule it.
Yeah. And I think as of right now, we should plan on having our regular meeting in April, whether in person or, by teleconference. So that I would imagine will go forward as planned, whether or not the library buildings are open at that point or not, because we do have a lot of stuff we have a lot of business to go on with. And so if there's anything in the meantime that comes up, like I said, we can always schedule a special meeting or an emergency meeting if we need to. But everything I think that we had on the agenda this month will certainly keep until April.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll just know a whole lot more at that point than we do right now. Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments that we want to get out there before we go through this list?
My comments are, thanks everybody for pulling this together. I know it will land it on our agenda at the next meeting anyway, but it looks like a good list and put a lot of thought into it, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for that, Terry. So let me go through the list, and let's make sure we have these enumerated the way everybody feels good about. So we're going to recommend the following for board approval, and we'll vote on all of these as one item. So number one, that the Altadena Library District buildings will be closed to the public effective March 14th through at least March 31st to prevent the spreading of COVID-19 in our community. Number two, that the Board of Trustees will give the district director the authority to make decisions about when to bring staff back to work and any further district closures in consultation with the board president. Three, that effective March 14th, district staff will be instructed to stay home for 1 week as an effort toward effective social distancing, after which time the district director will reassess and make a determination about whether staff will return on March 23rd or be instructed to stay home for an additional week. Staff will continue to be paid during this time. 4, staff will research potential cleaning services for deep cleaning and sanitization of both library facilities during the closure. 5, departmental managers will notify all vendors to cease deliveries to the building until at least March 20th. 6, public Wi-Fi will continue to stay on 24/7, and the main library parking lot gate will remain open during normal hours during the closure, so that community members can continue to use Wi-Fi as needed.
Wait a minute. You're gonna put in there 24 hours?
So the Wi-Fi stays on, right? But we're just not going to leave the gate open.
Okay then, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering though,
All right, I just
if
don't
it
want them
makes
to give
sense
a
to-
mixed message
yeah,
there.
that's what I think too. If you say that it stays on
Yeah,
24/7,
maybe
you're
we
implying that
shouldn't
it's
say
available.
24/7. Maybe we should just say public Wi-Fi will continue to stay on.
Yes.
And the
Okay.
main library parking lot will remain open during the closure, during normal business hours,
I
or,
Yeah.
would like that better.
Okay.
I would like that better.
you know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you read that one
For the
back,
people
Nikki?
that know it's
Yeah.
on and want to walk up, then
They can do that.
but-
Yeah,
Right,
that's right.
Do you?
okay.
Okay. So we're going to say public Wi-Fi will remain on during the closure, and the main library parking lot gate will remain open as
During normal business
business hours, so that community members continue to use the Wi-Fi
Do
as
you
needed.
want to?
Yeah, I like that better.
request that It just be 10 to
Thank
6,
you.
so that you guys don't have to.
Do you wanna
come
just
at
say
9
10 to
o'clock
6?
at night on
Please.
the-
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, so we'll say the parking lot gate will be open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through
Saturday.
Saturday? Yeah. Okay,
Oh, yeah, we have to.
yeah, okay.
But, well, really, it's more businesses Monday through Friday, Saturday usually the weekend, I don't know. I mean, do we still want, I know we're open on Saturdays.
I mean, ideally, we would want to have it available on Saturdays, because, like, I think that would be quite
Okay,
helpful
so
to
10
people.
6,
Yeah,
Monday through Saturday.
yeah, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
We can figure out the scheduling later, Jonathan.
Yeah,
I
we'll
can
figure
come
out
up
a
with a
schedule of
Yeah.
opening and
Whatever.
closing.
That'll be good.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. We got that one.
Mhm.
Okay, great. 7, that we cancel the March 23rd
Can
regular.
we just say we are canceling?
We are canceling. Yeah, no, we are canceling the March 23rd regular meeting. And then number 8 is gonna, I think, remain unchanged. Through communication with local organizations and careful monitoring of updates, et cetera, the district will be a source of relevant updates through the website, social media platforms, and email blasts during the closure.
Okay, and then let's put something on there that second Saturday, especially in April. I don't think that we ought to have that, I know everybody's gonna be expecting it, but because of the uncertainty of a lot of things and that distancing will be, being away, I think we might wanna include that in there for right now, because I just think we need at least 4 weeks or so, at least 4 or 5 weeks before, you really do some things with that kind
So
of
what if,
program.
what if we add a number that says all programming will be suspended through at least the end of April?
Mhm. Or something like that.
Programming and outreach.
I would say
We could-
all
we could do something
in-person
like that.
programming and outreach.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be.
Because I think we can do some really valuable virtual and
Yeah, in
online.
person.
Yeah,
Yep.
so all in-person programming and outreach suspended through the end of April, through at least the end of
Yeah.
April. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Good point. Thank you, Gwen.
Good. Okay, so is everybody comfortable with those?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Then I would like to ask for a motion to approve and adopt those measures as just delineated.
So move.
Yeah, I recommend it. I move that we adopt those items of recommendation.
So Gwen, I moved. How about if you second?
All right, you moved it then.
she did. Gwen, would you just second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, perfect.
All the formalities.
Fantastic. We have a motion and a second. So because we're doing this partly by teleconference, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. So
All right.
please indicate your vote by saying yes or no. So Trustee Andrews,
Yes.
okay. Trustee Capel,
Yes.
Trustee Khan,
Yes.
Trustee McMullins,
Yes,
and I vote yes as well. So that's a unanimous adoption.
thank you.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Everybody stay safe, stay sane. We will be in contact frequently over the coming weeks, and we will do the best we can and figure out the smartest way forward that keeps everybody safe. So thank you all again so much for being here. And unless we have,
Can I add something?
yeah, I was gonna say, please, Nikki, go ahead.
I also want to thank Katie for all of the many phone calls that we've taken this week and your guidance and pushing us to make sure that we're being as proactive about this as possible. And then also thank you to my management team. Everybody really is pulled together to do a great job of this planning. So,
Here.
just so happened that I had medical appointments back in Vegas, and I feel terrible I'm not there, but I know that we should all feel really proud of the work that they're doing, let me tell you.
Absolutely.
Here.
I think hear to them because they do an extremely, and it's wonderful work that they do. And they do it very, very kindly and very compassionately and very positively with all of the people that come into the library. And we hear such wonderful remarks from them. So thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Well, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. So at
Thanks.
this point, I am going to adjourn at 5:48 unless there's any objection. Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thanks, Katie. Everybody be
you.
safe.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.